She solemnly swore to you that sex doesn't occupy a significant space in her thoughts, that it's a peripheral subject in her life. However, immediately after, she dove into a 40-minute process of meticulously selecting lingerie, which, according to her defense, serves solely for her personal comfort. She insists on projecting an image of herself as someone with a moderate, almost restrained sexuality. But her browser's hidden history tells a completely different saga, an epic of desires that directly contradicts her facade. And you can be sure that history isn't filled with fashion shopping sites or healthy recipe blogs. We're talking about the inconvenient truth that no one dares to admit out loud. Women are as, if not more, obsessed with sex as you are. The crucial difference is that they are immersed in a totally distinct game, a parallel universe governed by a radically different set of rules. And you, all this time, have been striving to compete, to win, without even having the slightest notion of what sport you are in fact playing. Now let's unravel what's causing a true short circuit in your brain, the reason for your perpetual confusion. You conceive of sexual desire in the same way as hunger, a direct impulse, an urgent need, an unquestionable evidence. You see something or someone attractive, desire is triggered, you pursue the object of that desire, and with a dose of luck, you obtain it. It's a linear, simple, and mechanical process. For her, however, the experience of sex resembles a complex psychological thriller, a plot that unfolds non-linearly, happening simultaneously in the past, present, and future. While your mind is anchored in the here and now, focused on the possibility of tonight, her mind is in a whirlwind, actively processing how this interaction connects with the subliminal messages she received throughout her childhood about the imperative of being a good girl. She is at the same time calculating the repercussions this act will have on her social reputation and projecting what this decision will mean for her intrinsic value as a person. You are playing a game of checkers, with predictable moves on a two-dimensional board, while she is in the midst of a complex dispute of interdimensional chess, where each piece moves through time and space and the rules of the game change with every move. The profound cultural brainwashing surrounding the topic of sex has left absolutely everyone in a state of confusion, but it was women who bore the heaviest burden. Society invested centuries hammering into their minds the idea that sexual desire was a flaw, something that made them dirty and worthless. Then, overnight, the script was completely flipped, and it began to be demanded that they transform into empowered sex goddesses, sexually liberated. The result? They now live in a limbo, imprisoned between the internalized voice of their grandmother whispering that good girls don't do those things, and the incessant bombardment of Instagram urging them to embrace their inner goddess. And in the midst of all this, you stand there, perplexed, trying to understand how she can transition from a state of overwhelming passion to a total shutdown in a fraction of a second. The explanation is that she is fighting a violent civil war inside her own head, a bloody and constant conflict between what she genuinely desires and what she has been meticulously programmed over a lifetime to desire. Make an effort and think about the cacophony of contradictory messages she has been fed since the moment she was born. Be sexy, but be careful not to seem vulgar. Always be available, but never be easy. Show yourself to be passionate, but control yourself so you don't seem desperate. Desire, but never desire too much. Feel pleasure, but for God's sake, not more than he does. The directive was clear, yet impossible. Be an impeccable lady in the streets and an uncontrollable freak between the sheets, and, as if that weren't enough, manage to be perfectly authentic while performing this logic-defying psychological balancing act. Given this scenario, it's not surprising that her sexuality comes with more terms, conditions, and fine print clauses than a software update contract. Her sexual desire transcends the mere physical act. It is a force intrinsically linked to who she was in the past, who she is in the present, and who she aspires to become in the future. That seemingly ordinary Tuesday when she surprised you with unexpected passion, it was anything but random. On that specific day, she felt invincible, perhaps because she had achieved an important milestone at work, or because she had felt truly seen and heard in a meeting. And, at that peak of self-confidence, her body suddenly remembered its own vitality. And that week when she was as cold as ice and emotionally distant, She probably came across a photo in which she found herself unflattering, or her mother made a casual yet cutting remark about her weight, or perhaps she felt completely invisible in a room full of people. Her sexuality is inextricably tied to her entire psychological ecosystem in ways that would cause a total collapse in your much more direct and linear male wiring. The emotional and cultural baggage she carries with her rewrites, in real time, her entire sexual programming. If her first boyfriend treated sex as a favor she was granting him, she internalized the lesson that her sexuality was a gift to be offered, not a pleasure to be actively sought and received. If she grew up in a family environment where bodies and their functions were treated as a source of shame, she learned to disconnect from her own desires, treating them as if they were signals from an internal enemy. If the culture around her taught her that women with strong sexual desire were devoid of value, she learned the complex and painful dance of wanting sex, while deeply hating herself for wanting it. Understand this, once and for all. You are not just dealing with the woman in front of you. You are dealing with the echo of every message about sex she has ever received in her entire life. When you see an attractive woman, your body springs into action before your brain can even process her name. Blood is pumped where it needs to go, hormones surge, and in an instant, you are ready for battle, like a firefighter hearing the alarm. Your arousal is a straight line, a clear path from point A to point B. You see the stimulus, feel the physiological response, and then you want sex. It's that simple. For her, arousal is a three-ring circus, where psychology, physiology, and cognition must perform their acts with perfection and in total synchrony. If one of the performers fails, the entire show is immediately canceled. Her body might even be physically willing, but if her mind is busy and stressed about the presentation she has to give tomorrow, the show is over. Her mind might be genuinely interested, but if she feels bloated from lunch, you can forget it. She might be feeling a deep emotional connection to you, but if, in the middle of it all, she remembers that she didn't like the way you treated the waiter last week, her desire evaporates into thin air, as fast as water in the hottest desert. And now, prepare yourself for the revelation that will completely reorganize your perception of everything. She is perfectly capable of having sex with zero arousal, and you, most likely, will never know the difference. While you require physical readiness like a car needs fuel to run, she can operate on a completely empty tank and still pretend it's full to the brim. She has been in entire relationships where she performed desires she didn't feel, staged a passion that simply didn't exist, and you, in your blissful ignorance, probably considered yourself a true sex god. While this was happening, she was mentally drafting her grocery list while moaning your name. And understand, this is not a form of malicious deception. It's a coping mechanism, a survival strategy in a world that, for centuries, has taught her that your pleasure is more important than her truth. Reflect on the weight of this. Your arousal is brutally honest. It shows up, or it doesn't. There is no way to forge that fundamental biological response. She, on the other hand, has been trained since puberty to perform sexuality, to stage desire, regardless of its actual presence. She learned to be sexy even when she feels like trash inside, to appear available when all she wants is to disappear, to act turned on when, in fact, she is completely numb. You measure the quality of sex by a simple metric: orgasms and frequency. She, in turn, may not be experiencing either while assuring you that it was the best experience of her life, because admitting the truth would be infinitely more complicated than explaining the 37 interconnected factors that need to align perfectly in her universe for her to actually feel something. The psychological component for her is not just an important part of the equation, it is the entire equation. She has a visceral need to feel desired, but not to be treated as an object. To feel powerful, but not to carry all the responsibility. To be present in the moment, but not to feel observed and judged. To feel safe, but without falling into boredom. It's the equivalent of trying to hit a tiny target that moves in 3 dimensions, while blindfolded. One word with the wrong intonation, one look with a hint of strangeness. Anything that reminds her of her deepest insecurities, and her arousal vanishes faster than your paycheck on a night out. Meanwhile, you remain in a state of total confusion, because 5 minutes ago she seemed completely into it, with no idea that her ex-boyfriend just posted a photo on Instagram, and now, in her mind, She is transformed into a despicable troll who doesn't deserve to feel pleasure. Her cognitive involvement means that she is actively thinking about sex while the act is happening. And make no mistake, these are not erotic fantasies. It is a critical, real-time analysis. Does this position flatter my body? Is he noticing my stomach? Am I making too much noise? Or maybe not enough? Why did he suddenly change the rhythm? Did I do something wrong? Is this how his ex did it? Am I better? Worse? While you are completely lost in the sensation of the moment, she is running an algorithm of absurd complexity, a program of comparison, judgment, and evaluation that would make NASA's supercomputers crash. And after all this, you still wonder why she seems so distracted during the act that she herself supposedly wanted so much. Forget, delete, format everything you think you know about what women desire. While you're killing yourself at the gym, convinced that bigger muscles generate more attraction, she is immersed in reading a novel about a billionaire who owns half of Manhattan, but is unable to sleep at night, haunted by the ghost of the one woman who had the audacity to tell him no. These are not random, meaningless fantasies. They are blueprints of the female psyche, detailed projects that reveal with surgical precision what triggers her most primitive desires. And I can guarantee you, none of them have to do with your defined muscles or your nice guy performance. The fantasy of the powerful billionaire is not about the money itself. It's about the feeling of being chosen by someone who could have absolutely anyone in the world. Christian Grey was not a sex symbol because of his bank account. He became irresistible because he was a man who commanded empires and boardrooms, but who would kneel, vulnerable, for one single, specific woman. She does not long for your material wealth. She longs to be the one treasure that can bring a powerful man to his breaking point, the one thing his money cannot buy. The high authority figure excites her through the demonstration of competence, not by the brand of his perfume. The surgeon who saves lives with firm and precise hands. The chef who commands his team like a general on a battlefield. The university professor who mesmerizes entire auditoriums with his knowledge. Her attraction is not in the title or the position. It is in the mastery, in observing someone operate at a level of excellence that makes other men look like children playing dress-up. That's why she felt a wave of desire watching you fix her car that one time. But feels absolutely nothing when you brag about your fantasy football victories. Competence is the best of aphrodisiacs. Expertise is erotic. Being genuinely excellent at something significant is the sexiest thing you can be. And then, we have the beast that is tamed, the primitive force of nature that only she and she alone can soothe. Every vampire romance, every werewolf saga, every bad boy narrative is, at its core, selling the same powerful drug, the fantasy of being the singular woman who can domesticate danger. He is rough and ruthless with the world, but with her, he is the personification of gentleness. He is violent with his enemies, but becomes vulnerable in her arms. He has the power to destroy everything around him, but chooses, above all, to protect her. You, in your naivety, think she wants you civilized, polished, and safe. The truth is she wants you capable of violence, but choosing peace, and choosing it because of her. She wants to be the only hand that can pet the wolf without risking losing her fingers. The protector archetype is what explains why she melts when you instinctively walk on the outside of the sidewalk, or when you place your hand on the small of her back to guide her through a crowd. This isn't about being macho. It's about making her feel, on a primal level, that she is the most valuable thing in your universe, something worth defending with your own life. The bodyguard who takes a bullet for her, the soldier who returns from war to her arms, the man who would be willing to set the world on fire to keep her warm. But here is the part you always miss. The protection she seeks is not merely physical. It is an emotional sanctuary. It's being the one place in the world where she doesn't have to be strong, where she can fall apart completely, with the certainty that you will be there to pick up the pieces. The mysterious man, the emotionally distant one, is like a heavy drug to her psychological system. Every woman, on some level, believes she will be the one, the special one, who will manage to crack the code, who will reach the soft, vulnerable core hidden beneath the hard shell. The indifferent man, who demonstrates that he doesn't need her, triggers every competitive instinct she possesses. While you are busy sending good morning texts and proving your total availability, she is fantasizing about the man who might go days without getting in touch. You believe that being open, honest, and communicative makes you attractive. She, however, longs for a puzzle to solve, a safe to crack, a heart to win that wasn't handed to her on a platter. Notice the pattern, the common thread that unites all these archetypes: power combined with vulnerability, strength that hides a secret weakness, danger that possesses a selective gentleness. They are all variations of the same central theme: a formidable man who transforms into something different, something more, something vulnerable, but only and exclusively for her. It is not about weakness but selectivity. It's not being soft, it's being specific. The fantasy is not about taming a harmless puppy. It's about being the only person in the world who can reach the unreachable. That girl who broke your heart and left you for a tattoo artist at 22 is now married to an accountant with a solid retirement plan. And you're there, completely lost, trying to understand what happened. What became of the woman who declared that stability was the height of boredom? Who swore up and down that she would never be like her mother? Who needed danger and excitement like she needed oxygen to breathe? She didn't turn into a different person. She just leveled up, graduated to a different archetype. Her sexual psychology evolved, while you remain stuck in time, using the same instruction manual from college and wondering why it stopped working. Observe the pattern of evolution. In her early 20s, she is magnetically drawn to the mysterious bad boy. He doesn't reply to texts, shows up drunk at her house at 2 a.m., probably has another girlfriend, and most definitely has a fear of commitment. But that's precisely where the attraction lies. At this stage, she doesn't want safety. She wants to feel alive. She wants to collect stories that make her friends' jaws drop. She seeks an intensity that makes her forget her own mortality. The uncertainty is not a product defect. It's the main feature. Every ignored message is foreplay. Every mixed signal is a shot of adrenaline. She's not stupid. She is getting exactly what she needs at this stage of her life. Proof that she is alive, that she is desirable, and that she is playing at the highest level. Now, fast forward 5 years. She has been emotionally destroyed by 3 different bad boys, cried herself to sleep over men who wouldn't commit, and started therapy to understand her attraction to emotional unavailability. Suddenly, the protector archetype starts to look incredibly attractive. The stable guy she put in the friend zone at 23, now at 28, looks like perfect husband material. And it's not because she's settling, it's because her definition of excitement has evolved. Security becomes sexy. Reliability becomes romantic. The ability to plan a future becomes more arousing than the inability to plan a weekend. But here's what nobody tells you. She mourns this change. A part of her misses the chaos, the uncertainty, the electric feeling of never knowing what comes next. Occasionally, she will stalk the old bad boy's Instagram, feel that familiar pang in her stomach only to then close the app and kiss her stable boyfriend goodnight. She is not conflicted because she's indecisive. She's conflicted because both archetypes served real and important purposes in her psychological development. The bad boy taught her she was desirable. The protector teaches her she's valuable. Different lessons for different seasons of life. The authority archetype often emerges in her 30s, when she is already well established in her own career and life. She no longer needs a man's status. She desires his expertise. The executive who acts as her professional mentor but devours her in private. The surgeon whose hands save lives during the day and then worship her body at night. The entrepreneur who builds empires and then makes her breakfast. At this stage, she is no longer looking for someone to complete her. She is looking for someone who operates at her level and who appreciates the woman she has become. Your potential has ceased to matter. Your reality is everything. And what's most complex is that some women can cycle through these archetypes in a single weekend. On Friday night, she might want the beast. Rough, primal sex, being thrown around the bed as if she weighs nothing. On Saturday morning, she might want the protector, making her coffee, asking about her dreams, creating an environment of absolute safety in his presence. On Saturday night, she might want the billionaire, making all the decisions, taking full control, making her feel chosen. And on Sunday, she might want the mystery, someone distant enough that she has to work for his attention, making his affection feel earned, not assumed. The tragedy is that you are probably trying to be the same archetype you were when you first attracted her. not realizing that she is already 3 archetypes ahead of you. You're still playing the mystery card when she desperately needs a protector. You're still trying to be the bad boy when she's craving authority. You offer danger when she wants decisiveness. You are stuck in her past psychology while she operates on present needs, and you're left wondering why the spark died, when in fact, you just failed to evolve along with her fantasy life. Every woman operates on different software, a unique system built from 3 fundamental pillars: the psychological, the physiological, and the cognitive. These pillars are mixed in such unique proportions that what drives one woman wild will leave another completely cold. You are not dealing with a standard factory operating system. You are dealing with custom configurations that change based on the day, the mood, the weather, and even whether she saw herself from a bad angle in the bathroom mirror. The psychological pillar is her sexual self-image, and believe me, it's more fragile than your ego after she fakes a headache for the 3rd night in a row. It's how she sees herself as a sexual being. Does she believe she's desirable? Does she think she deserves pleasure? Does sex make her feel powerful or pathetic? One woman might see herself as a goddess who grants mortals the gift of her body. Another might see herself as damaged goods, desperately trying to prove she's worth something. It's the same physical act, but with completely different psychological movies playing in their heads. You are touching her body while her psychology is either opening all the doors or slamming them all in. Your face. The physiological pillar is her body's real and honest response, and it's the most sincere thing about her sexuality, if you know how to read the signs. This isn't just about whether she gets wet or has orgasms. It's about how her unique nervous system processes pleasure. Some women need 40 minutes of buildup while others are ready in 40 seconds. Some need a soft and gentle progression, while others want intensity from the first second. But here's the crucial detail. She herself may not know her own physiological truth because she has spent her entire life too busy performing what she thinks she should feel, instead of discovering what she actually feels. The cognitive pillar is the logical structure, the mental framework she uses to interpret sex. And it is usually this pillar that sabotages everything else. It's her brain's internal commentator, providing a continuous narration during every sexual moment. Is this too soon? Too late? Does this mean something? Or does it mean nothing? Am I doing this for the right reasons? What would people think? What does this say about me? Her cognition is like having an extremely judgmental narrator, providing real-time analysis, while she's trying to lose herself in pleasure. You are focused on the moment while she is writing a master's dissertation on the meaning of the moment. Most women are operating with only 1 or 2 of these pillars active at any given time. Her body might be ready, physiological, but her psychology is on lockdown. Her psychology might be begging for it, but her cognition is blocking everything with overanalysis. Her cognition might give the logical permission, but her body simply won't respond. The rare and precious moments when all 3 pillars align in perfect harmony. It is in these moments that she transforms into the sexual goddess you glimpsed that one time, and have been desperately trying to resurrect ever since. The CIA uses a concept called concordance to describe the exact sequence of events that leads to a specific outcome. In sex, concordance is the precise chain of triggers that takes a person from state 0 to the state of nakedness and desire. For you, this chain is ridiculously simple. See an attractive woman, get aroused, want sex. 3 steps, straight line, mission accomplished. For her, concordance is like the combination of a high-security safe, where the numbers must be entered in the perfect sequence or the safe remains sealed. And you have spent all this time randomly spinning the dials, frustrated because nothing happens. Your concordance is a highway, direct, fast, and predictable. Hers is a labyrinth, where a single wrong turn sends you back to the beginning. She might need to feel intellectually stimulated before she can feel physically attracted. She might need a narrative build-up before visual stimulation means anything. She might need to feel emotionally safe before her body will even consider the possibility of arousal. You're trying to skip to step 10 while she still requires steps 1 through 9 to be executed in the exact order, and then you wonder why she's not in the mood when you simply grabbed her ass in the kitchen. Her concordance might start with something that, on the surface, has absolutely nothing to do with sex. It could be the moment you fixed something that was broken, because the demonstration of competence triggered her psychological arousal. It could be when you firmly defended a point of view, because protection activates her primal brain. It could be when you passionately explained something you care about, because intensity in one area suggests intensity in others. You think foreplay starts when you touch her. The truth is, her concordance started 6 hours ago when you perfectly parallel parked. While you are aroused by body parts, she is aroused by stories. The story of being desired, but not easily conquered. The story of being chosen from many other options. The story of being powerful enough to break someone's self-control. This is why she prefers to read erotic stories rather than watch porn. This is why she needs to know the plot of the adult film. This is why a "you look beautiful" has almost no effect, but a "I couldn't concentrate all day thinking about you" makes her melt. You are offering visual data when she needs narrative context. Stop playing sexual roulette. It's time to start being strategic. That woman you're trying so hard to decipher, she has already given you all the clues. She has already told you exactly which archetype she secretly desires, but you were too busy talking about yourself to notice. She mentioned, in passing, that book she couldn't put down, the one with the dangerous CEO who only showed his vulnerability to a single woman. She got visibly flustered when that dominant and self-assured contractor came to fix her sink. She melts when you take the lead and assume control of a situation without needing to ask for permission. She is, literally, painting you a treasure map that leads to her deepest desires. And you keep insisting on using a street guide from 2003. Identifying her archetype is not a matter of asking directly. It is a matter of keen observation. What kind of stories does she consume avidly? What specific scenes in movies make her shift uncomfortably in her seat? What type of man makes her visibly nervous, in that specific way where she starts playing with her hair and forgets how to form a complete sentence? If she is obsessed with true crime podcasts and serial killer documentaries, she is probably drawn to the beast archetype. If her eyes light up when you passionately explain something you are an expert in, she is responding to the authority archetype. If she is constantly testing your boundaries and provoking you, she is, in fact, checking if you are really the protector she seeks, or just another weak man in disguise. Once you have identified her archetype, understand that this is just your entry point, not your entire strategy. The archetype is the key that opens the door, but you still need to know how to walk through the room correctly. You can't just declare yourself a protector and expect her to fall into your arms. You need to demonstrate it through concrete actions that speak directly to her unique psychological wiring. Protection is not saying, "I will protect you." It's walking her to her car at night without being asked. It's remembering that she has that important meeting tomorrow and is anxious about it. It's creating an environment where her nervous system can, finally, relax. Her concordance sequence is playing on repeat, if you know how to watch. Pay attention to what happens in the hours or days leading up to the moment she initiates sex. Does it happen after deep conversations where you really listened? Does it happen after you handled a stressful situation for her? Does it occur after you demonstrated dominance in some non-sexual arena that reminded her of your capability? That is her sequence revealing itself to you. Most men think sex starts when clothes come off. For her, the concordance started 3 days ago, when you solved that problem for her without her asking. And everything since has been a careful construction toward this moment. The narrative stimulus woman needs a story before connecting with the body. Don't grab her breasts. Tell her how you've been thinking about her all day. Don't go straight for the kiss. Describe in detail what you want to do to her later. Your words are the foreplay. Your intentions are the aphrodisiacs. The sensory stimulus woman experiences the world through her body, but not in the way you think. She doesn't need you to touch her sexually right away. She needs you to awaken her senses first. Run your fingers through her hair while you're watching TV. Place your hand on the small of her back in public. You are activating her sensory system, bringing her into the present moment in her own body, making her aware of every nerve ending. The sequence matters more than the elements. You can have all the right ingredients, be her perfect archetype, understand her concordance, know her stimulus type, but if you execute them in the wrong order, the result will be zero. Master this, and you will become the man who just gets it, the one who seems to read her mind, who always seems to know the right move, who makes her feel understood in ways that even she cannot articulate. You will not be a psychic, you will be a strategist. You will not be lucky, you will be observant. You will have learned to decode the language that every woman is speaking, but that most men are too deaf to hear. This is not manipulation. It is mastery. And mastery is the sexiest thing you could possibly offer. If this script blew your mind and made you see the game differently, comment the word mastery below so I know who is truly committed to deciphering this code.